What up, people? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling. This is my review for the March 11th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And tonight's Smackdown, it's hard to. I can't say that it was bad. When you watch WWE programs so much, you kind of get used to the tropes and just how they do things. I think the unfortunate thing that came out of tonight's SmackDown was the Biggie injury. There was a spot during Kofi Kingston versus who did Kofi Kingston fight against? It was Kofi Kingston and Big E versus was it Ridge Holland and Sheamus? And basically, Ridge Holland had Sheamus in like a belly to belly suplex. He flipped if you look at it again, like Biggie didn't have his feet set. Like normally when they do belly to belly suplexes, they just make sure the guy's locked. So then when they do the suplex, the guy can get leverage, just fly over. And that wasn't the case. He locked Biggie and just did it right away, and Big E didn't have his feet. And of course, Big E being a big guy, instead of going this way, he just went boom like that, and he landed on his head. And Big E posted a video afterwards on his social media that his hands are moving, everything is, but they had a neck brace on him, and they said that he broke his neck. So best wishes to Big E. Hope you have a big, speedy recovery. It's unfortunate that this injury happened to you, but man, I really hope you get a speedy recovery and get well soon. That was nasty, but man, get well soon, Biggie. Man, we miss you. You're a good dude. A lot of us wish that before this injury that you were in the main event picture, which you rightfully should be in the should have been in the main event picture. But man, hope you get well and get speedy recovery, Biggie. But yeah, this night, it started with a recap of the Madison Square Garden incident between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, which we've seen on social media for the past 6 days since Saturday. No surprise. Then we get a promo between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Lesnar comes out and he's basically calling out Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman then follows and he's like, well, Roman Reigns isn't here and I'm protecting you from him. And Brock Lesnar pretty much sarcastically and rightfully so, he's like, well, if Roman Reigns isn't here, who's going to protect you? And that's when Paul E, he's confident, oh, I got one over on you and Lesnar. And as soon as Lesnar says, who's going to protect you, you see Paul Heyman. And he just darts. And it was pretty cool. You've seen this Lesnar chasing after Heyman. And man, I don't know who the workers were, but somebody got freaking pushed really hard and awkwardly into the tables there. And I tweeted this. It didn't make any sense. Okay, you're a security guard and you're supposed to stop Brock Lesnar. But who in their right mind is going to stop that big ass dude when he's full speed chasing after someone? You have to be an idiot to do that. Not wise. I'm sorry. I don't care if they tell me, yeah, we want you to stand there so he can push you. Hell no. I am not doing that. That dude is too big, too strong, and I will fly like 50, 60 yards or what have you from him pushing me. And eventually, as Lesnar's chasing Heyman, doesn't catch up to him. He's like that. So eventually next week, we will have Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns on SmackDown, which should be really cool. From there, we get a backstage segment with Ridge Holland and Sheamus. And this was the beginning of just this awkward, this is just awkward how this happened and just unfortunate. And by unfortunate, I mean this. So Sheamus and Ridge Holland are talking about, yeah, we have someone that's going to, even up, I wouldn't say even up the odds, but, we got another guy that's going to join us. He's just like us. And as they're saying, it's like, okay, man, this is going to be a new wrestler. It's someone that we haven't seen before. And no, it was Pete Dunne. And he is not going by Pete Dunne. He is going by Butch. Yes, Pete Dunne's new name is Butch. Yeah, Pete Dunne. Pretty much the beast in NXT, NXT UK, the guy that's had classic banger matches with Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, who else? I believe Samoa Joe. I'm not sure. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but he's had some classic matches in NXT that you're like, this dude should be Intercontinental title, all this, and no, they changed his name to Butch. It is what it is. It's WWE. I am not surprised by it. I know many fans who were upset by this. I am not surprised considering what's transpired in the last 2 years. They pretty much changed Walter to Gunther not too long ago. Karrion Kross, they gave him the Mad Max, like dominatrix type gear or something like that. Keith Lee, they changed him to Bearcat Lee. Yeah. So, I mean, the list goes on. I'm not surprised by WWE. I know the common thing. Let's see where this goes. If history serves us correct, we don't want to see where this goes. We don't want to see where this goes. It is what it is. So it looks like we're probably going to get, or we were supposed to get, New Day versus Sheamus, Ridgeland, and formerly known as Pete Dunne, now known as Butch, at WrestleMania. But due to the Biggie injury, we'll maybe not. Because the way it played out tonight, because they rushed like the match, like they went right to the finish after Biggie hit his head, and you seen people in the crowd like stand up like, whoa. And when you seen him land, like you knew it was like, ooh, this isn't good. And they went right to the finish right away. So before that, it did feel like, because they broke their ATV and everything, so it did feel like you're going to have those three versus a returning Xavier Woods, Biggie and Kofi Kingston, New Day and stuff, possibly at WrestleMania. But things happen. It's unfortunate, man. I wish Biggie nothing but the best and a speedy recovery. From there, you had a recap of Kevin Owens and Stone Cold, basically what Kevin Owens said on Raw, challenging Stone Cold. And then you get a recap of the video that all of us saw on Tuesday morning from Stone Cold Steve Austin. And it was basically the same thing that we saw earlier. And they just recapped it. And basically Stone Cold's accepted. So we're going to get, again, as they mentioned on Raw, they mentioned on SmackDown, we're going to get a confrontation on the KO show at WrestleMania between Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin. From there, we get a video package of Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville and their back and forth thing. Then we get footage of Johnny Knoxville on TMZ basically telling everyone, yeah, I got Sami Zayn's phone number and I have this plane flying around so people can text him and everything. So the number's out there, and if you see, there's a few pictures of Johnny Knoxville with the number. You can actually see them. I don't know if it's real or not. You can text it, you can call it, you can do whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm not touching it. I don't know if it's a real number or fake or anything. I'm not touching it. It is what it is. I am not doing it. That was it. But it was kind of funny. I mean, it fits their storyline, especially Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville. It fits the typical WWE storyline with a celebrity being involved. And by celebrity, a celebrity the fans like instead of the opposite. Like what's it, Logan Paul and The Miz. It's typical storyline. He gets one up over him, and it's probably going to be a really fun match at WrestleMania. And we're probably going to get a few of the Jackass guys come in and help, and probably Johnny Knoxville is probably going to win, which would be pretty cool. I'd like it. Johnny Knoxville was pretty dope. Back in the day with Jackass, of course, everybody's gotten older and everything, but no, he was a really cool dude, really fun, and everything he did. But let's see what happens. Hopefully, he's healthy because not too long ago he did have, I believe, something with brain aneurysm or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or what have you, but I believe he had some severe injury that not with this match, like, ooh, okay, maybe you should have all the other guys, like, I don't know, it's real tough. Then we get Drew McIntyre coming out, and as he's waiting for his partners, he was supposed to have a match with the Viking Raiders as his partners, and we cut right to the back, and you have Jinder Mahal, Shanky, Baron Corbin, and Riddick Moss. They beat the hell out of the Viking Raiders. So Drew McIntyre, he goes back there. They come out. They try to stop him. He just beats them up. And they're just wailing on Drew McIntyre. Eventually, he gets the upper hand. And then he grabs his sword. And all of them run away. Sounds like we've seen that before the past couple of weeks. But that's what happened. From there, we get a recap of Ronda Rousey and Charlotte from last week. Basically about she never tapped and so on and so on. Again, it's the same video package we pretty much saw on Raw, so it's nothing new. Then we get a promo between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte in the ring. Charlotte interrupts Ronda Rousey, and again, it's similar to what they said last week, and they pretty much touched on what happened in Madison Square Garden, and I mean, that's it. And I know for those of you going to watch it, you're like, oh my God, you don't put enough. Like, you're just skimming through this show, not like what you do in AEW. Like, I watch all these wrestling shows, and WWE, unfortunately, with the talent that they have, they tend to, like, repeat the same tropes and, like, just put a lot of hype behind it and kind of like, hey, you forgot about this. And I mean, it is what it is. I actually liked how the show ended because it was a lot better than this promo between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. Then we get a match between Sasha and Naomi versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler. This was a cool match, and it finished quickly with Sasha Banks winning due to a distraction with Carmella and Zelina Vega at ringside. They cost Natalya and Shayna Baszler a match, so more than likely we're probably going to get a triple threat tag team match at WrestleMania. All right, the more the merrier. It should be good. It should be fun. You got 4 women that can go. Match-wise, hopefully they give them enough time to showcase their skill set and everything. Should be fun. I wish this match was a little bit longer. I can tell you the first hour and 10 minutes, there was only one match. One match on SmackDown. And again, that was the New Day versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland, which only lasted like 7 minutes. Maybe, between 5 to 7 minutes because of Big E's injury. So you had one match that lasted 5 to 7 minutes in the first hour and 10 minutes. Man. TV viewer, oh my God, it was boring. But I do got to say, I did have a colleague that was attending there with his family. He enjoyed it. So the crowd that was there enjoyed it. It was fun. But for us that were watching, it was just like, oh man, this was... So that's something that's kind of a disconnect with WWE, with the live audience that's there and then the viewing audience. Like, there's a real disconnect as far as the engagement in the product. From there, we get a recap of the Usos and MSG. They come out and they talk about who they're going to fight at WrestleMania. They're unlocking the Uso Penitentiary. Lo and behold, Shinsuke Nakamura music hits with Rick Boots. They start answering the challenge. Rick Boots and his Jey Uso, they start fighting. Rick Boots wins. So, apparently we have Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Usos for the tag team titles at WrestleMania. So that is a new match at WrestleMania. Hopefully they give them enough time. It should be fun. The Usos have had some really solid tag team matches in the last year, ever since they aligned themselves with Roman Reigns, and they're the Bloodline. Like, they've had some solid matches. Unfortunately, they've had matches against the same tag teams over and over again, which they need to freshen up that tag team division and give them some fresh opponents. But no, it was quick match, solid match, but that was pretty much it. Then we get a recap of the Sami Zayn Knoxville, what happened earlier in the night, and then last week. Then we get the match of the night. This was a good match. I recommend you guys watch this match. Sami Zayn versus Ricochet. Whoo boy, man, this was phenomenal. Man, oh man, this was good. This was a good showcase for Sami Zayn. This was a great showcase for Ricochet. I'm glad that they've done this the past couple of weeks, having you guys fight. This is one of those matches. I know WWE gets hard, rightfully so, of continuous rematches. But this is a rematch I did not mind, because what they did last week is like, okay, this is going to actually be fun. And my colleague who went to tonight's SmackDown, his son, he loves Sami Zayn and Ricochet. He's like, oh my God, these guys are awesome. Actually, it was more Sami Zayn, forgive me. He's like, oh my God, I love this. That. And usually those guys that wrestle like that, they do tend to, the kids get behind because they're so quick and just doing all these crazy moves. But no, this was a really solid match. I recommend you guys watch this match. Sami Zayn wins, but during this, we get an altercation between Austin Theory and Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, kind of going back a little bit, during the Naomi, Sasha Banks, Natalya, Shayna Baszler, Zelina Vega whole thing, once they lost, Pat McAfee just looks over the desk. He's like, your ladies lost. Thought that was hilarious. But fast forward to this incident. So Austin Theory comes out, and like last week, he kind of shoved Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee's like, all right. And he shoved him 1-2 times, and Pat McAfee beat the hell out of Austin Theory. This was fun to watch. And Pat McAfee just man, he laid it into him. And of course, the security comes out, and Michael Cole's like, well, we got to escort him out because, this was, we don't condone this or what have you. Just something made up. And it's like, usually when announcers have fought, they've gone there, they've stayed at the desk and just continued commentary. But this time they wanted them to leave. So as Pat McAfee's leaving, Austin Theory's just looking at him. He tries to go at him. And what I liked about this segment was, as Austin Theory's like, oh, I'm going to get you, Pat McAfee's just standing there looking at him like, what? Shut up. Like, whatever, man. And I thought that was cool. And then after that, you get a backstage, the camera cuts to the back, and you just have Ronda Rousey and Charlotte fighting by a car, and they're laying it in, and they're just throwing each other into the car, into whatever wood, plywood that was there. They're throwing them there. Eventually, Charlotte, she throws Ronda Rousey on the top of the front hood, and she gets on there and she starts putting Ronda Rousey in this stretch, and she's just stretching her back, and they're trying to break it up. They break it up. Charlotte pushes everybody, and that was SmackDown. But yeah, this was the March 11th episode of SmackDown. Yeah, the unfortunate thing that came out tonight was the whole injury to Biggie. Again, I hope he gets well. Biggie, if you watch this, I hope you get well and have a speedy recovery. That's pretty much, outside of that, I mean, it's something that we've grown accustomed to with WWE last SmackDown. It was pretty, if you, outside of the Big E situation, if you watch this, it felt like you were watching last week's episode. with the MSG highlights in between. It really didn't advance anything in a way, in a sense. I mean, you do have the the Usos having their match at Wrestlemania. It's gonna be Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura. You're gonna get the whole, you know what you're gonna get more of with Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. What else? Pete Dunne's now Butch. But other than that, looking at this, that's it. Like, that was SmackDown. It wasn't anything else. I know those of you who watch WWE, it's like, I'm not trying to brag on. I like WWE. I like, there's some wrestlers there I enjoy watching, but the creative way they go about presenting these wrestlers and executing storylines and just the presentation on TV, it's like, man. But again, as I mentioned earlier in this video, my colleague was there with his family. They enjoyed it. Their kid loved it. Wound up getting a belt and everything. So there's that discourse and that divide amongst the fans that are at the live event and then the fans that are watching at home. And some people at the live event is just like, oh my God, it's 50-50. And I think what's the unfortunate thing about WWE is that they have a reputation of 50-50 booking. And I think what's unfortunate is that 50-50 booking has actually crept into their audience, as far as you have 50% that love it and then you have 50% that hate it. And granted, you're going to get eyes and ears and people are going to, granted, WrestleMania is going to be probably going to sell out, the Cowboy Stadium and that. But, I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, this was just like last week. That's all it was. And I just dropped my pen. Oh, well, whatever. But yeah, outside of that, I recommend the Ricochet Sami Zayn match. Watch that. But like I said, the first hour and 10 minutes, you only had one match, and that one match was like 5-7 minutes. And then the Sasha Banks match was a good 5-7 minutes. And then Rick Boogs match with Jey Uso was like 5-7 minutes. So it's 7:14. So out of a 2-hour program, you only had 21 minutes of wrestling. Pretty much. Being, what? Add on another 7, maybe 28 minutes with Ricochet. So out of a 2-hour program, you only had 28 minutes of wrestling. Which was, I don't know. Some it's good, some it's, it's eh. But that was WWE Smackdown. So, again, Biggie, I hope you get well. Speed recovery. Man, it's unfortunate that it happened to you because personally, you're one of my favorite wrestlers in WWE, and it's gonna suck to see you not on TV because there's so much charisma and a lot of stuff that you did outside of the ring for the WWE Championship that you had when you were the WWE Champion, that I loved and enjoyed. And it sucks that you're gonna be out for some time, hopefully not too long, but man, speedy recovery, Biggie. With that, like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Again, follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And again, that was my review for the March 11th episode of WWE Smackdown. With that, like I always say, stop fighting over wrestling. Enjoy it. We have so many wrestlers and promotions. Just enjoy it. Stop arguing about it. Enjoy it. It's entertainment. With all the stuff going on in the world, just enjoy it. All right? With that, I'm out.